Hey guys, again, and welcome to the 4th month of grief. So during August, I had 22 streams and achieved 152,000 attempts. It's about time that the grind really starts to settle in, and I'm definitely feeling it. I'm starting to get a bit burnt out from forcing myself to play this level every day that I can, and just even on the days that I can't play it, I'm just constantly thinking about it. I would say that I'm in the indifferent to disliking transition of the enjoyment spectrum. One of the hardest parts of doing something like this is that it's completely new territory. Like, I've never experienced my progression and consistency being this slow, so it's really hard to not get frustrated when I feel like I'm getting nowhere. Because you really have to look at the bigger picture and compare your overall consistency to the previous weeks or months rather than the previous days like usual. It's just a different mental game that I need to get used to, I guess. But anyway, this month I was looking to get better at playing from zero, and my actual goal was to get to 65%. I went into August with the plan to rebalance my focus on the first half, with my best still being 41%. My first goal was to pass that, which I thought wouldn't cause me too much trouble. I mean, I got to 41 again on the second stream of the month, so, you know, it should be easy enough, right? Unfortunately, definitely not at all, actually. But we'll get into that. Pretty early on in the month, I got 16 to 68, which was tied for my longest percent run at 52%. I'm still having trouble imagining getting to these parts at the second drop from zero, because I'm gonna be so nervous, and they're already barely possible for me without nerves. So I know this is definitely something I'm gonna have to deal with next month, and you know, I might have to, I possibly will have to make some adjustments to those parts, but we'll see. I quickly picked up steam from zero and was consistently getting multiple drop attempts per stream. The problem at this time, though, was that many of these drop attempts would end super quickly at Triplash's part, so it wouldn't even really matter that much, and normally only one of these drop attempts would make it to Cuber's part at most. I was still doing runs too, but rather than them being predominantly from 65 or 56, they were more often from 35 or 25. Throughout early August, I would do some pretty solid runs, such as 29 to 73, 21 to 66, 25 to 73, 35 to 68, and 25 to 72. All of these were from the first third and made it to the second drop, which is pretty good, but they also all ended at the same part, which is Griefer. Now, last month, I might have bragged a little bit how good I was at the second drop, but unfortunately, it seems like I've traded it off with improving at the first half, which kind of sucks because I was hoping I'd retain some consistency, but it's turning out to be really difficult to do that. Some days are better than others, like sometimes I'm very good at Griefer and tacos, but it's just super inconsistent, unlike last month where I was consistently good. Another thing is that I would get to Cuber's part, then die. Like, every time before 41%. If you don't get why this is such a bad thing, after getting to Cuber, all I have to do is 5 seconds of gameplay that is like not hard at all relative to the rest of the level, and then I'm done with it. I'm done and dusted. I'm on to Iris's part. I'm all good. Stream 57, 59, 60, 61, 63, 65, and 67 all had at least one Cuber attempt, sometimes more, and I passed that 5 seconds of easy gameplay that I mentioned on none of those attempts. And if you were there, it seemed like a huge choke point. But to be honest, Cuber is not that hard at all. I was getting so frustrated. To be fair, it did turn out harder than I made it out to be, I guess, but it still felt like there was some invisible wall preventing me from passing 41. And each Cuber death would just pile on more pressure for the next Cuber attempt until it was just suffocating me. Oh my god! Eventually though, the wall broke, which gave me this run on stream 69. Oh my god, finally, bro. I can't, I'm done. After over a month and a half of having 41%, I finally got to Iris's part, which truly felt amazing. I mean, like, it actually felt like its own level completion, to be completely honest. To me, getting to Iris's part is harder than Acheron, so technically I have a new hardest, kind of. Really though, I should personalize it more and say my journey to getting to Iris's part was harder than beating Acheron, because I'm sure that opinion will not carry over to the pop-offs and tricks of the world. But to be fair to me, it's very different in a verification like this, so I don't think it's entirely me just being bad. But yeah, again, getting to Iris's part was harder for me than beating Acheron. On that same stream, my best run was 44 to 91. I had gotten this exact run last month, but I still think it's pretty crazy, and maybe I can get 44 to 100 next month. I don't know. I also got a new longest run of 25 to 79, spanning 54%, and finally making it to the tacos wave from the drop.
Bro, I can't.
Just a few days after these runs on stream 71, I actually got to Iris twice. I think this confirmed that the Cuber mind block was just about over, and one of the Iris attempts was even a new best. The second Iris attempt was an instant death, but I was happy with my new progress. Also, yeah, it kind of sucked having these 2 runs, but technically not having the level in 2 runs, but it's pretty hard, so I'm not surprised. After getting 49%, I kept getting multiple drop attempts per stream and making it to Cuber pretty consistently, but I never got back to Iris. I had a lot of throws at Cuber, which didn't help, and I wish I had at least made it to 56 this month. I unsurprisingly didn't even get close to the 65% goal, but I imagine next month I'll probably be able to do it. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah, not much to be said, but now for the changes. There were more changes this month than I expected there to be, and most of that had to do with me not being able to pass 41. Like, eventually I had to draw the line, and the first 2 changes I'm gonna go over were a product of that. Firstly, in the intro wave, I nerfed this saw at 4% by scaling it down from 1.1 times scale to 1.05 times. I would frequently die to this saw while transitioning out of the 7-click consistency spam because of the abrupt speed change from 3 times to half speed. And this was just me wanting to get to the drop more, basically. Although it wasn't enough because I ended up doing something I thought I would never do. And I promised to myself I wouldn't nerf this, but it was such a bad choke point for so long that I literally couldn't take it anymore. The consistency spam at 22% just before the drop is one of the hardest things to do in the level, but I nerfed it ever so slightly just so I could clear it a bit more often. All I did was move the bottom structure down 1 micro step, and honestly it doesn't feel much different, but I do pass it a bit more. In the Triplash wave, I fixed this hold click being inconsistent by adding these slopes that properly align the wave every time. It took me a while to even realize I was dying to that release half the time because I got a bad hold into the portals. In the Triplash ship at 32%, I moved this saw down half a step because I was having a lot of trouble with the ship. I like kind of mind blocked it and couldn't really wrap my head around why. I forgot to mention this, but there were also a lot of invisible hitboxes that I discovered, so I removed those as well. After having 41% for so long, I just got worse and worse at it, so I tried to nerf it in a pretty interesting way. Basically what I did was rotate the spikes rather than having them be straight, because then they interact with the rotated player hitbox instead of the static player hitbox, which always feels more fair. At Burgadaz, I removed the hitbox of this spike because it would sometimes just kill you if you released a bit early on the previous click, and at 64% I moved this saw to the left and up a bit, so that doing 4 clicks in this wave was a little closer in difficulty to doing 3 clicks. Lastly, I nerfed the tacos wave again by moving this structure at the end up half a step. So that's all the changes. One thing I'm happy to say about August is that it was the most consistent month so far. I made it to the drop at least once on every stream of the month, with a total of 65 drop attempts, which is over double the amount of drop attempts I had gotten in the 3 previous months combined. Hopefully next month I can reliably get far on drop attempts because many of them now end at Triplash or Cuber, and I'm hoping to get a lot more Iris attempts, hopefully. My goal for September is going to stay 65% because I like the direction my progression is going in right now, and I want to continue to stay focused on that goal. That's it for this progress report. This was the shortest one. Nothing crazy really happened, but like I said, it was the most consistent. Like, what can you really ask for? But yeah, that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys next month.